This is the plaintiff, Milo L. Domani. He says he and the defendant rented a room together, and to say they didn't get along would be an understatement. The defendant claimed he was a racist, which isn't true. He moved out. Now the guy won't pay him the fair share he owes him, so he's suing him here and now for the $517.13 he's due. This is the defendant, Ikenna. He says the plaintiff doesn't understand that his privilege prevents him from understanding where he's coming from. And that's the basis of their disagreements. He came to this country to go to school. There's no reason for this lawsuit, and he defiantly doesn't owe this guy money. He's accused of not getting along. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,000 for loss of security deposit and money for inconvenience.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that he and the defendant rented a room together. It was a bad idea because they did not get along at all, and the defendant owes the plaintiff money. But the defendant says they had a disagreement over race and privilege. He was forced to move out and owes nothing. It's the case of get a room, just not with me.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. El Domani, what happened here?
Well, basically, me and Ikenna were roommates that shared a two-bedroom, two-bathroom apartment, and we had it with a third roommate. And when me and my third apartment moved out, we moved out without Ikenna, and there was move-out costs that, when divided by 3, were $355 and $13.
What were the move-out costs for?
They were for carpet replacement, they were for repainting the walls, and they were for cleaning, and there was final utilities.
Okay. And did you and the other roommate move together somewhere?
Yes, we moved to a different complex in the apartment complex.
You moved to a different apartment in the same apartment complex?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the discussion with Mr. Ikenna about, like, hey, we're not going to live with you anymore, or the lease is up and we're getting our own place. How did that work out?
I just sent him a message saying that we were going to be moving out.
Okay. And was there a problem between you guys or not really?
When it came to the moving out...
No, before the moving out that made you say, I don't want to live with... First of all, were you sharing a room with him?
Yes.
Okay. And did you two get along?
No.
Okay. Did you ever get along?
In the very beginning, which is when I first met him.
Did you know him before you decided to share a room with him?
No, we had met through our school's housing website.
Okay. So, and what school are we talking about?
The Film Academy.
All right. So you move him in, and why don't you get along?
Because we had problems communicating.
Okay.
And we just didn't see eye to eye on most topics.
All right. Well, you don't have to. All right. And then, so you tell him you're moving out, and what happens? He says, okay, no problem?
Yeah, mostly along that line. I don't think there was a...
So when does the building tell you you owe XYZ in damages?
After we move out.
All right. So and do you have anything from the building that says what that was for?
Yes. We have ledgers, and they've posted them on the statements on the website for the payments. Carpet replacement, cleaning, and painting. Mm-hmm. Well, there were the final utilities that we were charged. I sent a message to him saying that he owes rent for the September month, which was for him $494.98, and the utilities, which were separate.
Did he pay his rent?
He did not pay his full rent.
What did he pay?
Part of it. He paid $288.70.
Says who?
Okay, I've sent over the ledger previously.
Okay, hold on one second. Is this the document you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. Is that his payment? It's the $288.70?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Ikenna, you're being sued because you didn't pay the rest of that, and according to the building and the plaintiff, you didn't pay your full rent either for September. So let me hear from you. Why don't you owe this money?
Move-out costs, I received a text message from my former roommate sometime in the end of September to the effect that we had a move-out cost to pay. To this, I replied him, please don't make any payments on my behalf. I intend to challenge this. Because I already have a peculiar issue with the apartment complex itself. So like he said, we used to be roommates, no love lost. He tried to push me out of the apartment. I wasn't budging. It resulted in the two of us having to move out of that apartment. So he got another apartment in the same apartment complex.
What do you mean by he tried to push you out of the apartment?
He sent me this worded text as to the effect of how he knows my OPT was coming to an end and how it would
What's
be...
OPT?
That's like the 1-year training we have after school to work in our field.
What's your field?
So he, film. So film and media production. So he sends me this message to the effect that, oh, my OPT is going to be ending, that it would be nice for me to find a temporary place to stay. To this, I didn't reply. I just went straight to the leasing office and signed to renew the lease.
Signed to renew which lease?
The lease for that apartment. All he had said to...
Okay, wait. So you signed to renew the lease for that apartment. And is that where you're living right now?
No.
Okay.
No. So I signed to renew the lease for that apartment. So apparently the apartment complex doesn't have a problem with me staying for a year, but he did. I knew it was passive aggressive, but I didn't mind. I signed the lease. He sends me a text message saying
what do you think was the reason that he didn't like you?
It started after an altercation we had, and I wouldn't even call it an altercation. It was just a discussion, and we're talking about, I think we're sharing stories, because I considered him cool before this. We're sharing stories. He made this statement where he said, oh, I lie for fun. I just lie. In my mind, I'm like, okay. I didn't even see too much to it. We forgot about that. We kept talking, and it was a very big difference in communication and understanding. And I was like, I understand what you're saying, but all I can see is that your privilege won't let you get where I'm coming from. Your Honor,
What were you guys discussing that you felt the need to say that?
It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't even racially motivated, to be honest, at this point. I was just saying, I feel like your privilege doesn't allow you to understand where I'm coming from. Now, the thing with this was, after this conversation we had, he didn't talk to me no more.
Oh, there's a surprise. When you say that to somebody, I'm imagining, well, what did he say that would cause you to say that because of the color of his skin, he doesn't understand you? Well, that's sort of, but usually I will remember, listen, I will remember when someone says something that offends me, I remember it. So I'm trying to figure out what he said that offended you, but you don't remember.
But Your Honor, I wasn't offended, and that's the thing. I actually wasn't offended. It wasn't an offensive statement. It was just me stating that, oh, we see these two things differently, and that is that. And he was like, you know what, I understand what you're saying. We're just going to stop having this conversation right now. And that was it. After that day, the vibe was different. He stopped talking to me.
Okay.
He did a lot of petty things like, taking out his... taking out the bath mat, little things that were supposed to get a rise out of me, but, Your Honor, to be honest, no reaction out of me. I never said anything. I just continued to coexist, because I can do that. I can live in a space with you for as long as possible. We continue to do that. That was when he tried to push me out of the apartment with this text message and I renewed the lease. He comes back and says, that he and my other roommate, who I'm cool with, are going to be moving out and that I should figure out what I'm going to be doing. At this point in time, I'm cool. I also reached out to the apartment complex to get a new apartment now, because since he wasn't on that list, it was voided.
Okay, that's what I'm not getting. So he says they're leaving. You go and you sign for another year, which would take you all the way. You do or you don't?
I went to sign that lease, the lease to 207.
Right. Did you sign a lease to 207?
I
that
did.
Would take you from September of 2021 to September of 2022.
It was supposed to. But then what happens is because he goes to meet them to cancel that lease now, saying that he wasn't going to be living with me anymore.
Wait, he's not canceling anything. He didn't sign it.
I mean, when he didn't sign it, it was voided. That lease was voided in itself. Okay. So
well, you're very lucky if they decided to void it for you. You're very lucky because you signed a lease to rent it yourself. That's what you did.
Okay.
Right?
No. But I'm getting
Am I right?
to it. So yes, you're right.
Okay.
So
all right.
It was voided. So what I do now is I'm trying to get another apartment in this complex. So I applied for another apartment in this same complex.
And
I did. I was approved. I and like 2 other people were supposed to be roommates. It was approved. A couple of days before we moved into the apartment, one of my prospective roommates said that they couldn't afford to live in that apartment complex, so she couldn't do that anymore.
Had the three of you signed a lease?
We had already signed this.
Okay, dude, do you guys understand that there's an effect for signing a lease? So you're in a dispute with them about $800, and the $800 was what? The security deposit on that apartment?
Yes.
So if you signed the lease, that's why they're not giving you your $800 back. But before you guys work that out, you decide, do you end up in the same building but in yet another apartment?
Now I'm in a different apartment complex, not with
Totally, a different apartment complex. So you're in a war with them about your $800, and he says, hey, they're charging us X, and he's still living in the building, but you said so long to the building, so you don't want to pay what you and the plaintiff and the other roommate have been deemed to owe the building. You don't care because you're at war with the building because you want your $800 back, and he cares because he's living in the building. Do you, Mr. El-Dumani, have any paperwork or any pictures that the building may have given you that shows that the carpeting had to be replaced and all that kind of stuff?
No, they don't send me any pictures of it that it had to be replaced.
Okay. See, you're in court saying, I had to pay this money for him. For me to say, you know what, you're right, he owes you that money, I have to find that the money is owed, right? Because you could choose to pay it because you want to stay in their good graces, but that doesn't mean he's liable for it. So I have to see the damages and say, I agree. So let's put a pin in that for one moment. And Mr. Aquina, show me what you paid for rent for the month of September. Show me the proof that you paid what is your full rent, by the way?
About $650.
Okay, I'm not seeing a payment for $615. I'm seeing a payment for $288.70.
Your Honor, we paid through the portal.
Oh, good. So take a second and look through the portal and try to show me that you paid that rent. Because I want to reach the right conclusion in this case. Okay, I don't want you to be out money if you're entitled to it, and I don't want the defendant, Mr. Aquina, to be out money if he's entitled to it. So what I want you two to do is I want you, Mr. El-Dumani, to ask the building to show you the proof that substantiates the charges. And I'm going to give you think 2 weeks is enough for you to do that?
Yeah. More than enough, yeah.
That should be enough. So I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, yeah, that carpet needed replacing. Yeah, the walls needed painting or whatever it is. All right, that's one. Two, Mr. Aquina, I'm going to give you a chance to figure out and prove to me how much rent you paid in September.
Yes, it is very possible, and I'm going to check to make sure, but it is very possible I paid $298 for that.
You either owe the money or you don't, and I'm going to find that out based on what I get from the building, okay? And if you're able to find that you paid more rent, but it sounds like you're succumbing to that already now. That's going to be my verdict. Now, you have a counterclaim for $1,000 because you lost an $800 security deposit. Like, why would that be his fault?
Okay, so I was saying, since he was acting on behalf of the apartment complex, right?
No, he's not. He's not acting on behalf of the. He's acting on behalf of his pocket. So that's between you and the building. And by the way, you're going to lose on that for the reasons I've already described to you.
I know.
And money's for inconvenience. You can really forget that. So on your counterclaim, 0. And on your claim against him, I'm going to wait to see what it is that you are able to provide me from the building, and then I'll make my decision. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it looks as though the plaintiff may prevail in this case if he can provide the proper information for the judge. The defendant had filed a countersuit for $1,000 against the plaintiff. He doesn't get that. So let's start with you, Mr. Aquina. You don't win your countersuit, and you still may owe the plaintiff some money. How do you feel about it?
I think it could be worked out, because here's the thing. If he did make those payments and the apartment complex did threaten to evict him, he had every right to make the payments. If the judge rules in his favor, I'll be good with it.
All right. Mr. El-Dumani, let me ask you, can you prove what the judge needs, do you think? What's your answer? Okay. And you're happy where you're living now?
Very happy, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Harvey?
Okay, Doug, here's an update. It turns out the plaintiff did submit the evidence and got $517 as a judgment. I will say, bring your evidence to court. There are some judges that will hold a case open like this, but sometimes the judge says you get one bite of the apple, and if you don't have the goods in court, you're going to lose.
I know you are liable if a dog bites someone. Are you liable if a large turtle bites someone when they are playing with it and annoying it? They could see it was getting agitated.
I don't know about you, but I can always tell when the turtle I'm annoying is just agitated enough to bite me, and that's when I back off.
I pushed it just a little bit too far.
Turtle one step too far. Exactly.
I hate when that happens.
I know. Well, you know what? Some turtles will bite. When I was a kid, I used to go fishing, and every now and then you'd encounter snapping turtles, like really big ones, and they take your finger off if they got a hold of it. So look out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there could be liability, wouldn't you say? I mean,
Of course,
it'd be like anything else.
I mean, there could, you know.
Has the turtle bitten anyone before?
Right.
Do they get
But
one free bite?
I think that, you know, when you're petting an undomesticated animal, you're taking certain risks as well.
Yeah.
So really, it's going to depend on the circumstances. Because even if it were a dog, if someone is poking and annoying at a dog and trying to agitate the dog, and they get bit, they got bit. The law is not ridiculous.
The common law, he had it coming.
He had it coming. Right.
Kicks into play. Right?
Yeah.